It's AM 1160 WCCS and 101.1 FM. Our county commissioners join us once a month, update us on things of interest within the county, and they are all with us again today. Commissioners Baker Ruddick and Shireen Hess, who's going to be our leadoff hitter today. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. You?
I'm fine, thanks.
Terrific, terrific. So what's going on in the county commissioners world from your standpoint?
Well, we just had our regular bi-weekly meeting, and one of the things we did was a proclamation about Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a few folks from the NAACP there to accept that, so that was a nice thing. And Black History Month continues throughout the whole month. And another thing we did was related to our mental health services. All of our agencies are going to apply for what they call the block grant, which will give them a lot more flexibility with the dollars from the state and the federal levels to deliver those services. So it's the start of a process, but we believe it's a good move to make things more collaborative between the agencies and maximize the use of those dollars.
Now, when you say all of our agencies, you're talking all of our agencies that deal with mental health issues?
Yeah, our Behavioral Development Health Agency, our Drug and Alcohol Commission, and this is we are an adjoinder with Armstrong County, so the folks in that county are also involved with that.
All right. So those are some pretty important issues, especially at this time of the year when you're talking about, well, what's been in the headlines recently, and then you add into the fact that with budget concerns and at the beginning of the year, people are sort of lining up, and certainly they need to be there. There's
a lot of struggles out there, and one thing county government does pretty well is find solutions to these problems at a very local level that really the state and the national levels aren't really able to achieve. So we have some really awesome department heads working on those things, and give them kudos for delivering services every year, working more with fewer dollars. And so we're very, very pleased that we have good people working for the county.
Good stuff. All right. Commissioner Ruddick, good morning.
Well, good morning, Todd. Good to see you on a beautiful day in Indiana County. Of course, it's always a beautiful day in Indiana County, but not 74 degrees. So I think that discussion that Shireen had this morning, I think was a good kickoff for one of the things I wanted to mention. You know, we're taking interest, obviously, here in the county and across Pennsylvania, the county commissioners, at the proposed budget that Governor Wolf has put in place for next year. And one of the things that we're really concerned about is the fact that while it's level funded, which means there hasn't been any drastic increases or decreases in any of the budget areas, we were hopeful that we would see a little bit more of a bump in the human services side. In fact, that's a challenge we're facing here in Indiana County, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that because other counties are facing the same kind of challenge, and that has to do with the support for those who end up being homeless in our communities across Pennsylvania and have no place to go. And so when they are pulled off the street and provided support by most counties, we have programs like the Indiana County Community Action Program that will reach out and provide a service plan for them and put them into a shelter for a period of time in which to get them straightened out in terms of their food and their shelter and their financial needs, and then maybe help them with their employment and move them forward into a residential assignment. Well, it appears that HUD, which is a federal program, has decided that they are going to cut the funding and has already done so in providing a transition plan for those who are homeless to get into a residential kind of assignment. There is no money coming in right now for our shelter in Blacklick. We were, I think, the Community Action Program lost, I think, by the stroke of a pen, about $60,000 this year that we don't have a program for that, nor does anyone have it in their budget. And that caught us all off guard. And most recently, we've had the opportunity to sit down with the staff of both Senator Toomey and Senator Casey and talk to them about this and said there has to be more consideration, I think, at the rural America to understand clearly what we're dealing with individuals who are in need. And they're going to have to go back and revisit the policies and procedures that are in that particular human services plan at the federal level to get it more a much better program to support individuals who quickly are despondent. So,
is what you're talking about something that you sort of could see coming after your visit to the White House last fall?
Yeah, it's been about 2 years that we've seen this. They cut us, all counties were cut about 20% in human services funding about 2 years ago. And we were hoping that we would get back that 20%. Well, we did get back 10%, but we really need to be fully funded to make it work. Mm-hmm. Frankly, the issue that we have is there's no other place for these individuals to go, and to not find a way to fund an agency like Indiana Community Action Program, they're going to go somewhere else and not be supported and not be funded. So, when we were at the White House, this was a key point that was raised. I'm not sure that we had pure clarity at what areas would be cut, but we do now. Mm-hmm. And that's why Senator Toomey and Senator Casey were really informed of this. In fact, from Senator Casey's office, they said, we're hearing a lot about this across our Pennsylvania districts. I'm thinking, well, I hope so, because it's a problem.
Yeah. And really the offshoot of it is, or maybe not the offshoot, but one of the root causes is you have a pile of money here and a pile of money there, and we're going to dole out this pile of money to this cause, that cause, which means
someone suffers.
Someone suffers unless there's more money coming in.
Absolutely. You're right on target, Todd. And that's the challenge. I know it's facing the federal government, certainly has faced state government, and always faces local government.
Yeah.
So
Seems like there should be a call for just an overall review of where all of the tax money is being spent. And then okay. Commissioner Baker joining us this morning as well.
Good morning, Todd. Good morning, everyone. I just, not to pile on here, but I want to chime in, too, on the whole human services thing, and especially with regard to the potential crisis that could be coming with our Pathway shelter in Blacklick. Having spoken with folks from ICAP and so on, this is actually the second budget year in a row where we've seen the funding for those types of shelters eroding away on the federal level. And I'm just very concerned. If you had been to our meeting about 2 meetings ago when Michelle Fott from ICAP had an opportunity to come and speak to us, she had apparently talked to some people who had been beneficiaries of the shelter services that are there. And quite literally, she said that some of the people that she spoke with had told her that without that shelter, they would have frozen to death this winter because they had nowhere else to go. And I think that they've served in the past year or so, at least 400 people have come there for various types of services. And if that funding goes away, and it appears that it has gone away on the federal level, we've really got to find a way for someone to step up here and make sure that we don't lose the services of that shelter and we don't let those folks fall through the cracks. Having said that, let me also say that I'm also deeply concerned about funding for mental health. And you can see some of the things that happened in the news over the course of the past week or so in Florida, a terrible tragedy there. A lot of things fell through the cracks there, too. There were some referrals and so on that were made to the FBI and so on that kind of went unheeded. And unfortunately, here in Pennsylvania, here in the Commonwealth, we don't have what I believe is an adequate safety net for folks who have mental health issues. And unfortunately, many of them end up not only in our county jail, but in our state correctional system and so on, where it's really not the place they ought to be. They ought to be in a place where they can get some help for the underlying problem. And we lack the funds and we lack the opportunities right now to assure that can happen.
For any of you may answer this. County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania, of course, you're all Indiana County, it would be a member. And that's a discussion that I'm sure every other county in the state is having, and looking for models that work in one county to the next or another state where they do things differently in terms of funding. Could there be solutions discussed there that might be applicable here or anywhere else in Pennsylvania?
Oh, I think absolutely. And in fact, if you watched a program that was on where the students came forward to talk about their frustration with the whole process, particularly those whose privacy and lives have been invaded down in Florida, they were very vocal and said something has to be done. America. You know, this is not a federal problem. This is not a state problem. This is an America problem. And I've had conversation the last couple of days with some very close colleagues of mine, going back on my educational background and talking to principals of several schools who just happen to be in their audience, talking about, you know, assuring safety and security of students in buildings. That's really a challenge. And I don't have the pure answer for it. So much has been done to address the problem. We have locked the school doors during the day. We've put in scanners to check students coming through as they come in the mornings. They've put resource officers. Now many of them are provided a weapon for security purposes. And then you have an individual that happened in Florida that just understood how the system works and snuck in at the end of the school day when most doors become open because of all the extracurricular programs that go on in a building. Mm-hmm. People have no idea that is really a very ripe time for really lowering your guard. And maybe we have to look at every aspect of the school day to really get a handle on the protection side of it. I don't know that protection stops these kind of incidents because, like Commissioner was telling us, the mental illness problem is really driving a lot of this. And there's other issues too, but we've got to get a handle on this, America. Let's come up with a concept plan and let's help protect our families.
It is a federal, a state, it is a county issue, a local issue. I think, as you said, Commissioner Ruddick, it's an America issue right now.
It's an American issue.
All right.
I would just, I agree 100% with what Rod just said there. And it concerns me, when these terrible tragedies like this happen, these are the kind of things that should drive Americans together. But unfortunately, everybody's guards go up immediately and everybody polarizes to one side or the other, and they end up being things that drive us further apart instead of bringing us closer together. We're never going to be able to solve these kinds of issues while somebody runs to the left and somebody runs to the right. We ought to be running to the middle to try to work together to get this whole mess figured out as Americans.
Commissioners, thank you so much. Shireen, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, just that they're absolutely right. We need to make a commitment to our children, to our communities, and a commitment to hope for the future. Things are dire, but like I said, county governments come together. We come to work every day looking for solutions to problems for our families and for our kids and our business community. So we're working hard on it. But challenges are there, but so are solutions.
They certainly are. Thank you all for coming in.
Thank you, Todd.
We appreciate it. It's Indiana in the Morning, AM 1160 WCCS, 101.1 FM.